Stop listening! Instead, stream the uncut version of this discussion by either or both, tipping us on Ko-fi or joining a membership on either Ko-fi or Patreon via the links in the description.
The bathrooms had like all of the different side shower nozzles, like down, where it's like 3 sets of nozzles, and I don't know what they're for.
It's for your body.
But like, I don't want water shooting at my face.
Some people do. And sometimes up their nose.
A shower bidet.
Goes up.
You know what I want? I just want a rain.
Fashioned hippie.
Oh, I know who she is. Maggie
hippie.
Weber. That's her name. She has a co-host and they have a podcast too.
I haven't listened to that. The only thing I've ever seen is her shorts on YouTube.
I like her.
She does not look familiar to me at all. No one can accuse me of trying to be this girl because I know nothing about her.
No, like I said, I didn't think you look like her. It's just like the way she talks, and the way she says things.
Yeah.
It just
Very
made me think of you. Yeah.
Like
the pores. The pores. The pores. That gets me every time.
I'm convinced now that I'm a Xennial. All the things they said, you're trapped between 2 generations. Nobody really accept you. The Gen Xers say, "F you," and millennials say, "You're an old millennial. Get out of my face." I worked from like a very, very, very young age, so I would work to buy all the stuff that I wanted.
Well, I mean, I worked too, but I didn't buy video games and stuff. I bought girl things, clothes, and movies.
Yeah, all we bought back then were tampons and pads.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like at first.
We are Squawking Dead, a podcast pulverizing programs beyond the Walking Dead universe. Sometimes we give you news, sometimes we make you laugh. Most times we go deep. I'm your host, David Cameo, and I am joined by...
Me, Lazy Cardinal, because Rachel's not here. That was weird.
Yeah.
And Bridget. Yes, I get to say it again. You can find me at youtube.com/@punkybrewster. That's PUNKYBRUISETER.
And we're here back again to talk about Dark Winds Season 4 premiere, titled Con Tsiitáá. And this I got actually for this time around from, it's a really cool thread on forum.duome.eu, and it's /viewtopic.php.
Okay.
Question mark T equals 861 Kayla how -2 pronounced Navajo.
Yeah, nice.
But it's really, really informative. There's context to the pronunciation too. So it'll give you like this is how you say it when these letters are presented next to each other. This is how these, with the other letter. I'm not even sure I said that right, but it means baptism by fire, which is an interesting title if we are to go into the title straight away. However, before we do that, I'll just say, hey, our Fallout merch is still available on squawkingdead.com. Make sure to hit the menu on the top left, choose shop merch, choose the new store. And not only is the Fallout themed merch available for you to purchase, we've got also some really cool Squawking Dead designs. I highly recommend checking out the Kirk Manley themed merch. Particularly, there's a ton of posters and stuff like that too. We'll sign it for you if you send it to us. It's a whole thing that we provide for free, apparently, because we're chuffed that you really want us to sign your poster.
It is weird. It is weird that you ask us to sign stuff, but we'll do it.
We'll do it. For $99.95. Just kidding. Just, I don't know.
No, I'll do it for free.
If you really want us to do it, we'll do it for free. Exactly. You just pay for postage, I guess. Other than that, I guess the title is Baptism by Fire. I'm not going to torture you with my pronunciation. Only daring one here to do it. Bridget can make fun of me later. Why would you cancel the show like that, Dave? Stop doing it. You're insulting a whole culture. I am in love with the culture.
No, I think it's
trying.
nice that you try. I think it's nice you try. And actually, people have never said you've absolutely butchered the Navajo language.
Not
so
like
I
Zahn McLaren. Which actually is apparently
I know. I hate when I see those threads. I'm like, you guys leave Zahn alone. They're like, his pronunciation's horrible. It's atrocious. I'm like, oh wow.
Even his way of saying thank you.
I didn't know any better, so I just think he's great.
Anyway, so Baptism by Fire. I am a little bit befuddled by this title and how it relates to this episode. And I'm curious if you've had time to think about that. By the way, I think we first thought about how does the title relate to this episode from Dark
With
Winds.
this show? Yeah, probably.
And then we found out, oh, hey, we can transpose this to basically all the shows that we ever watch.
So I can tell you my theory on that.
Love it.
One is for Bernadette. She's going to go through a baptism by fire on becoming the new
lieutenant.
She's going to be taking over Joe's place, and she's getting a baptism by fire with this case. The other is she kind of symbolized that when she burned her Border Patrol jacket. That was also her baptism by fire when she went through Border Patrol.
Which she'd already gone through.
She's burning that to move on to the next one. But she hasn't even been back at the tribal station for any amount of time. And she's already thrown into this case, which, being a young girl from the Catholic school, is probably very personal to Bernadette because she also was in one of those schools.
That exact one.
So this is very personal to her, I feel, and that's going to play into it more and more.
Yeah, marrying the whole Border Patrol trial and then also marrying the Catholic, St. Catherine's is the Catholic school that they all went to. Well, even the people at the station, the officers had gone there too.
It must be the one local to their area.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Which then all of them would have been sent to.
I don't know if we talked about this last season, but if you watch the show 1923, the Yellowstone spinoff, they actually deal with these Catholic schools and the Native Americans. It's pretty rough. It's very violent and very hard to watch, but it is eye-opening if you want to get a feel for what these schools were really like.
Do you think a lot of that has to do with taming the savage sort of mentality?
That was
we
what
civilize
it was, yes.
That sort of...
Correct.
Okay, I was just wondering. I don't really know.
It was basically beating the Native American out of them and forcing them to conform.
That was mentioned sort of in the show.
I mean that literally because that is what they did.
Catholicism, which is wild for America.
Very different. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Like the fact that we were founded by Protestants who were trying to leave the Church of England and the Catholic Church behind, for the Catholic Church to then find its way to the U.S. and decide that this was something they were going to double down on.
It was their charge. Yeah. Wow.
It's super weird to me.
So alien.
There is a long history of that, though. When the first Spaniards came over to the New World, their immediate goal was to subjugate and convert all of the natives. And I mean that through the Caribbean, through Mexico, through Central America, into the West, into Texas. That is what they did. All the way in through California, there were Catholic missions in California. Yes. That is what we have done since we came to this land.
Hey, actually, leave me out of that too. Wait a second. I wasn't here.
No.
You've seen the Pocahontas meme, these white men are dangerous, you know?
I'm glad the mentality on this has changed so drastically because as a Christian, I'm charged with sharing the gospel. However, it does not say do it through any means necessary, including severe violence. We're not charged with that. So the fact that it was twisted and used in this way for so many years is just hard to see because Christianity is like supposed to be about love. Obviously, there's other parts of it. There's correction and all this other stuff too, but it's not that. That's such a twisted version of it. So to just see it get twisted to be used to essentially overthrow civilizations is hard to see.
Well, even Lutheranism has, in all its branches, have evolved over time too. It came out of the Catholic Church and was like, hey, it's about the personal relationship to God rather than the collective. And only we get to say all the church hymns because we know Latin and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to imagine that even when it came out of Luther, it was kind of like, well, we still have these little holdovers, you know, that we have to kind of
definitely
get rid of and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say it was all Catholics because Protestants also
No, that's what I'm saying, actually.
Also pushed Native Americans out of North Carolina and the South.
Oh,
that
definitely.
wasn't Catholicism.
Definitely.
That was Protestant. So that's a European thing. Let's say that's,
that's
a
like
European
the whole Manifest
thing.
Destiny thing.
It's just interesting to see that the Catholic Church had such a foothold in this one specific area.
I agree.
It's interesting to me. I don't know. It just
in light of the fact that this country has not been very good to Catholics over time, which is really weird.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I want to mention something about this baptism by fire.
Sure.
So what's interesting is that that's not the normal nomenclature. It would normally be trial by fire. So baptism by fire is a little bit of like a twist on it.
I have heard baptism by fire, though.
I've heard that before, specifically when it comes to war.
Okay, that's an interesting perspective.
And you know what? The first time I heard it was that movie 3 Kings. I think it was a comedy.
George Clooney
Yeah,
that
George Clooney.
It was a what you would call a
LL Cool J?
dramedy.
I saw it in theaters. I remember that.
Mark Wahlberg.
You've never seen this.
Yeah.
I think so. It was like a kind of a dramedy. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
About our time in
Iraq.
Iraq. Yeah,
It was Iraq War.
Oh, okay. When I think of this concept of baptism by fire versus like a trial by fire, I wholeheartedly agree with what you're saying about Bernadette. But to me, that provokes trial by fire. She's going to have to go through this trial to get there. The baptism by fire weirdly brings up the sweat.
I was going to mention that if somebody didn't. You're saying Jolie Porn sweat?
The sweat lodge.
Yeah, how he sweats during his hunt.
The baptism by fire provokes that imagery to me because of it being deeply spiritual and personal. You're kind of cleansing yourself and resetting, which is essentially what a baptism would be.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what baptism by fire means is finding purpose or meaning or even belief as a result of having gone through an ordeal, a trial, or even trauma. So if you want to transpose that to our characters, losing your wife, having killed a person. As far as Chi goes, you know, his drama was back in season 1, technically.
Well, dude keeps getting shot, literally.
Yeah, no kidding.
Just like every time.
He's like the Rick Grimes of this show.
Okay, baptism by fire is a specifically military
Right,
term
okay, there you go.
for a soldier's first battle.
It is sort of a realignment, though, in a sense where after this first battle, you suddenly start figuring out what is really important to you over the things we claim is important to you, which is why when soldiers came back from war, it's almost as though they were a different person. The dumb things that sort of mattered to you as a couple, let's say, if we're talking about a couple.
I was going to say, yeah, that's PTSD. They used to call it shell shock. It
But
gives
that's
you
like
a
God in
different
Foxhole
perspective.
sort of situation.
Yeah.
When you're baptized, you join
Oh,
the blessed,
Well,
correct?
So
when you're baptized by fire, you are joining the ranks of people that have been in battle before too. You're joining a brotherhood.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, now I wonder if that applies to Albert and Leroy. Leroy, his brother, I'm assuming is the Leroy that he mentions that he and Billy, his cousin, are looking for on the show.
Now that we have all these different
pieces
to this phrase, it could mean really anyone. Your guess is as good as mine. Could be Bernadette. Could
Let's
be
watch
Joe.
the second episode, everybody. Let's do it.
It could
Right,
be
Charity?
maybe Chi does go through some stuff, because here's the other thing. She's got to figure out his role, knowing that he's not going to be the lieutenant, and he's got to be second in command to his girlfriend in a time frame in which that's not really what we would normally do.
Even the sister kind of refers to it when Bernadette comes in. She goes, "The police woman."
Oh
As
yeah,
though
Yes.
she was
Yes, like,
very
how
offended.
weird.
Feminism. Here it is. Weird.
I guess she wanted her to go out in the world or something. Why is she upset about her becoming a police woman if your entire goal was to assimilate her into your culture?
Well, because the
It's not about
culture they
her.
want isn't even it's not even American culture. The Catholic Church at this time would have been pretty anti-women's lib, I would think.
Oh, definitely.
Everybody was.
Yeah. So it's like they don't even want you to assimilate into the culture that's out there in the world. They just want you to assimilate to the Catholic Church, really.
I just want everybody to understand when I'm laughing, it's awkward laughter. Because part of me finds it very amusing. And another part of me is like, I'm on a show with 2 other women. And it's funny as hell. But I shouldn't laugh so
I'm
loud.
personally super offended about things that happened before I was born.
Yeah, no, I'm the problem, right?
I'm okay.
But you know how it's like you shouldn't laugh and then you realize you're laughing louder now?
Sure. You keep doing it.
I can't stop.
We remember this from last season. A lot of these topics are kind of awkward to
As hell.
affront because it's American history.
And it's American present because these things are still going on today.
Well, I only laugh because, yes, the battles are still going on, but even comparing it, I'm not saying it's night and day. I'm saying it does still happen, but not to the degree or
No,
the
no,
overtness.
the
The culture
severities.
has changed.
Yeah, severity is different.
it has progressed,
Massively.
but it's still going on
Sure.
in different
And it
ways.
will always go on. Even the show sort of brings this up in Bernadette's conversation with Jane. They're cleaning the cans and stuff like that.
Mhm.
A lot of the conversation is like, the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Mhm.
But they do change. They just change slowly and maybe slower than most people would prefer. But usually those changes are the changes that stick. Byrne says, hey, when I was a kid, nobody looked for me. At least we're here.
Yes.
We made it to this point. I'm a police woman
And I'm native and I'm looking. Yeah, exactly.
and I'm looking for your
exactly.
friend. So it does change,
Yeah.
but not as fast as we'd like it to.
We struggled with some of this stuff last season, how to verbalize it without it's a culture we're not a part of. So like, you don't want to make assumptions about anything. Anyway, we were told that we handled it very well. So I feel like
standard disclaimer, we never say anything to be rude or disrespectful in any way. So if we do, it's unintentional.
Well, I will say Dave probably helped a lot with that just by editing. Honestly, just by editing,
a little,
probably cutting out things.
But hey,
like,
if you want to get our
that.
unedited cancelable offenses, if you just support us by tipping us or joining a membership tier, you can get access to our uncut recordings of all the mess ups and all the things I decided to edit cleverly so that we don't look as bad. I'm saying all of us.
I just want to point out that
me.
in that scene with Jane, Bernadette proves Joe's point completely. Because they couldn't get the information out of the girls. Whereas Bernadette understands the people and understands the land, and she was able to get the information that they couldn't.
Like he said.
Well, and that's what's interesting about her character. You would make the assumption that she would be the one that would be, because he's been around and he stayed. Bernadette left. That doesn't count for something. But she is genuinely the better detective. She's better at putting things together. She's better at connecting with people because she is still kind of alienating himself because he doesn't connect with the spirituality of his people.
In season 1, we learned that he had been away from the res for a long time, like 10, 15 years. Whereas she was gone to school and stuff, but she kept her ties to the res, whereas he didn't. So you have different people who embrace things like that. She's embracing the spirituality of her people, and she has not done that because he was taken from it so early. He hasn't had the benefit of being there all those years when he was formative.
And I will say he had a sour experience too.
They all kind of did.
We learned that.
But they dealt with it differently.
His was like maybe a little more sour than like Bernadette's, for instance. Joe was always there for her, so she had that during those tough years. Whereas Cheese like left on his own and then he was like sent off. And then he comes back and everything's destroyed and his memories were not good ones. There's probably part of him that feels a little bit resentful about reconnecting.
Yeah, but we got to see him work through a lot of that.
When you were saying that the power balance between her and Chi, you also have to remember that her last relationship with a coworker did not go well.
No.
Which was sort of brought up in this episode too, in an indirect way. Well, I mean, Chi, thankfully, was the one to bring it up. You can trust me. Say
She
it.
has been
Romance
painted
it.
the whole series as kind of like
Machismo?
a little bit. He's machismo. He's kind of a dick. He's really can be very self-involved. So for him to say, I get why you're worried and I'm not that guy. He could have been like, yeah, you really screwed up picking that one over me. He doesn't do that, which I think is kind of what you would expect out of him. And instead he's like, I'm not that guy. You don't have to worry about it.
Joe's influence on him. I don't know how many years it's been in their time. I'm going to say probably 2 or 3. But in those 2 or 3 years...
I wouldn't even say that.
What year is this taking place in?
I would say there's got to be at least a year. We did the calculation because there was that 6-month period between the time she left before the border guard. And there was that winter time where they not buried, but left not DB Cooper. What's his name?
DB Cooper.
DB Cooper.
I can't remember his name. I don't remember his name.
What's his name out there in the
guy.
cold?
BJ Vines.
BJ Vines. I would say a year and change, probably.
Okay, 1971 is the first season.
And the plates on Irene Vaughan, her car, were dated 1971 as well, which doesn't mean much. So it could be the tail end of 71.
Registration, yeah. Or
so it has to be a year at least. I would say a year and a half if I want to go on the high side. And it seems like, Sharon, you had mentioned, or you'd said, and I'm not sure, we can't really confirm this right now, given the fact that we're tackling this ahead of time. How long do you think time has passed since the end of last season and the beginning of this one? Because it feels like a season may have passed. Emma's been gone for quite a while. So I'm saying like a couple months.
I think it might have been a little bit longer than that.
Yeah, well, okay. There you go. And then I guess maybe you're right. It might be 2 years.
Minimum is a couple of months.
Yeah, I was going to say like a season change, maybe.
Well, the very minimum. But like,
actually, Gordo says that his wife saw Joe when he was in the hospital last year.
Yes. Good catch. Good catch.
Okay, so
it's been like a year. Almost.
That actually brings a lot more context to Emma being gone, because I had wondered in that year, she went from being with her sister in Flagstaff to somewhere in LA. There's a connection between what's happening, the drama that's occurring with Billy Sosi and Joe Leaphorn, actually, in the name of the daughter. Let me just bring that up.
Well, his plates were from California too, so you can guess we're gonna travel back to that.
In the opening credits, they had a shot of LA.
So Albert Gorman, the cousin of Billy Sosi. Gorman is also the last name of Joyce, Joe Leaphorn's mother, in the books. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Oh, okay.
Her name in the book is Anna
I feel
Gorman.
like if they were actually related, like Joe would recognize their names.
No, I agree. I just think it's very interesting that
it is
particular last name is being used or reused. And that's not the only one, though. So the Roger whom we meet in the store again, remember Roger's the one who picked up the coal that, what's his name, the kid was selling that was trying to run away from the scientist killer?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
So
we've seen
Roger.
Roger before. Yeah, we've seen
great.
Roger before.
I guess that's why they call you detectives. Anyway.
Well, I think it's interesting because they moved away from the other outpost that they were going to in the first two seasons.
It had the African American guy wearing that one.
Yes, and we don't go to that one.
It's more of a trading post, yeah.
Yeah, we don't go to that one anymore. We go to this little...
Well, we were in both places that in the same season, which is kind of funny. That season started off in that area because the paintings, remember the money was behind the paintings for Rosemary Vines? I think it was Rosemary Vines. It doesn't matter. But let me get to this one fact. Roger is played by Ernest David Sosi. It's a common name, I'm sure. But Sosi is Billy's last name also.
Yeah, I would say there's probably a lot of overlap of last names just because of the tribe.
I live in a little town, and I can guarantee you that there are certain names here that 50 or 60 people have the same last name. It's not like Jones or Smith. It's like Watertown or something. It's just a family that's been here so long that they have 60 or 70 people have the same last name. And I feel like it's probably the same way on the reservation. You only have so many surnames to go around.
Well, yeah, of course. It's just fun because there's another one. So Billy's grandfather, who, by the way, mentions that Billy doesn't have parents. He doesn't say they're no longer with us. I just found the phrasing interesting. So his name on the show is Begay. I think it's Alfie Begay or something like that. We know a Begay on the show, an actor on the show named Ryan Begay, Guy at City.
Yeah. There was also a name of several characters last season because they were investigating one of the Begays getting murdered, I think.
Most seasons have been based on more than one book, which makes sense because I started Sinister Pig last season thinking that was the book that it was based on. Some of the stuff is the same, but a lot of it isn't. Turns out there was another book that they had kind of packed together with it to give you the kind of two different storylines. So as of right now, all we know is that this one is based on The Ghost Way. It was written in 1984, and this one was written by Tony Hillerman. We've talked about this before. Anne Hillerman did take on the task of continuing the series after her father passed. She now writes the book, so it's like a 50-50 shot that it's either Anne or Tony that's written it. Tony had written this one. It is the 6th book in the Leaphorn Chi Navajo Tribal Police series.
As long as we're doing like little random bits and bobs of things, Baptism of Fire, and also linking things to prior seasons, Bernadette decides to take on the role of Sergeant, at least in the meantime, right? But she's making a decision to move forward. Well, some of the things that I've mentioned is, listen, I love this show. I love what I learned from this show. And one of the things that I learned is walking the pollen path. What does that mean? It is a ceremony, how the community swoops in and helps you unstick yourself from trauma. There's a little bit of a parallel between Bernadette when she wakes up in the morning, she lays out the uniform, etc. You see the flashback of her burning her old uniform at the U.S. Border Patrol. And she's out there. The horses are out there doing their horse things with the lovely cinematography. You see her pulling out corn pollen from her bag and sprinkling it around. You're like wondering, what is that all about? Well, that is, let me read on this, but it does mirror unsticking yourself from tragedy and trauma, which clearly she mentioned. She lets in on that with Chi's conversation. And again, this is also a mirror to what Joe went through with the sweat and then the hunting and then encountering the buck that looked at him as though it was his time, that he was ready. Same thing. I'm ready to move on. In Navajo Dene culture, sprinkling corn pollen around oneself is a sacred act used to invoke blessings, protection, and harmony. It represents a pollen path, quote unquote, that signifies the life force, connection to the holy people, and desire to walk in beauty and balance, often during daily morning prayers or ceremonies. Fun. Key reasons for this practice include blessing and protection. Pollen is used to bless oneself, others, or sacred items, ensuring safety and invoking the protection of the holy people. Creating the pollen path By sprinkling pollen, individuals create a pollen path, often towards the east, which represents living a life of peace, balance, and harmony with nature. Daily prayer and connection. It is used in a daily morning prayers to connect with the divine, asking for guidance and strength. Symbol of life and fertility. As a product of the corn plant, it symbolizes fertility, nourishment, and the continuity of life. Interconnectedness. It represents the interconnectedness of all living things and the desire for harmony in the physical and spiritual world. It is commonly applied to the top of the head, on the tongue, and sprinkled in front of the individual. Cool. I love that for us.
Might also say that's similar to baptism.
Yeah, well, that's why I brought it up. In case nobody does,
It's interesting.
this is another one.
Well,
Yeah.
color theory. Bernadette's wearing all white
Hmm.
in the beginning. I noticed
Yeah.
that because I was like, why are you wearing white and working on a car?
I did think it was weird. And this camo fatigue motif
like she put her
to
knees
her
down
pants.
in the
And
dirt.
all I could think was it looked like her pants were just really dirty.
Right. I happened to notice that she was wearing white, and as we're talking about like the baptism by fire, where you're burned away to purity or whatever, she's wearing all white. Also, the tribal police uniforms are a much lighter color than the border patrol, because the border patrol is like a dark blue jacket
Yeah.
and whatnot.
Like a forest green. This is like a light khaki. Okay.
It makes sense given
dig
their uniforms were so dark, despite the fact that they're in a very similar environment. So I would assume that they would also go with something light colored to reflect the light. So you're not sweating bullets out in the desert, but not at all.
Let's say you're wandering the desert or driving down unfamiliar roads. Again, this is a time we don't have GPS. You have to
Yeah.
rely on tourist maps. So let's say you happen
Yes.
upon a
Yes,
statey.
and what is he going to do with that map, Dave?
Well, what I
You
right.
absolute idiot.
You idiot, Billy. Place looks stupid, cousin. You happen upon an officer. Depending on the color, you kind of figure out what kind of officer they are. Wow, I made it all the way to the border. How would I do that? That sort of situation. So you kind of always know who you're dealing with. It's helpful.
Seems like a foolish choice for the heat, but sure.
Agree. Narratively, you
But
guys
sure,
are on the money.
Sure.
This episode featured an in memoriam for Robert Redford, who passed in between our coverage of last season and this season on September 16th,
Mhm.
2025, at the age of 89. The earliest work I've ever seen Robert Redford in was The Twilight Zone as a very,
sure.
very young man.
Sure.
Not-
Sure.
18, 19, maybe even 20 years old, playing a young soldier, a ghost soldier, I think, as a matter of fact. Not to spoil a show that's been
How dare you spoil
Off the
the
air for
Twilight
60
Zone?
7-year-old show.
legendary.
I love him in Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, but my absolute favorite movie with Robert Redford was The Electric Horseman, him and Jane Fonda. It's not a very well-known movie. A lot of people don't know. I've never heard of it, but it is typical late 70s, early 80s romantic
Misogyny?
comedy type thing. Yeah.
Maybe a little.
Romantic comedy.
He was one of the reasons I started watching this show. When I saw that he was one of the executive producers, he and George R.R. Martin, and I was like, well, how can you beat that team?
It's an odd pairing to be sure, but to cover this kind of series,
Yeah, it's an interesting pairing, but here's the thing. George R.R. Martin is well known for his world building, and this is obviously a pre-established, loads of source material world, and obviously based in reality,
No dragons in this show.
but based in America as we know it.
historical fiction.
Correct. So it makes sense to bring him on to kind of help build this world for it to feel complete, like you're not missing anything. And then Robert Redford, I honestly didn't know a ton about the man. I just assumed that he had done Westerns because I knew that he had done
Butch Cassidy and Sundance
Butch
Kid.
Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. So I assumed that he had been in other Westerns. So then I felt like, oh, well, this kind of makes sense, like being involved in this genre then. Apparently, in his personal life, he did work a lot on supporting Native American and Indigenous rights.
Who, Robert Redford?
Yes.
Okay.
So probably he was a Hillerman fan, or at least got connected to him, I would guess, through that.
Was probably his literal swan song, I guess.
Sneakers was a great movie too.
Huh.
Did you ever see that?
No, and see, that's what I was about to say, was I kind of wanted to learn more about the stuff he's helmed over the stuff he's actually even acted in. One of James Gandolfini's last movies is the one about they're like on an army base and things are not going
The
well.
Last
like,
Castle.
Is that what it is? Yeah, maybe
Well,
that
was
was
it like an army prison or something?
I know it was an army base. I have to remember, but things weren't really running well. And I, not to spoil the movie again from like 20 years ago, but
How dare you?
one of the last scenes was Gandolfini's faced with the choice of letting Robert Redford fly the flag as he thought he was going to fly
That's
with it
the Last
upside
Castle.
down. And he ended up pulling on it and having it fly right side up. but he ended up getting shot anyway. Very powerful and moving movie. But I want to know more about his filmography.
My mom was a big fan of his, so I've watched a lot of his movies over the years. But Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid is one of the best movies ever. It is great.
Yeah, and you know what? We're probably several generations removed from that movie.
He was also in All the President's Men about Woodward and Bernstein.
So yeah, why don't you all take a look at his IMDb and get to learning a little bit more about him? He's a very fascinating fellow. Rest in peace, Senor Redford.
Wow. Why did you go Spanish?
Why wouldn't you? Senor Redford. You have to put some respect on that name.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. I don't know what's happening now. He's lost the plot again.
Listen, we have to live a life of joy.
You and I?
Yeah. There is a cool scene about, this is obviously after Leaphorn's sweat and hunt and seeing the buck and knowing its time was up and etc. and looking at him. And hey, this is mixed messages. Who knows if that's what that meant really. But Leaphorn's driving, sees Gordo on the side of the road, and he needs a flat fix.
Oh, we didn't say. Linda freaking Hamilton?
Linda Hamilton.
There you go.
I love Linda Hamilton, and I was super excited to see her, but I'm like super disappointed that she is not like Terminator.
Her, right.
Linda Hamilton coming out.
You know, she was in Stranger Things final season, by the way.
This is such a
choice
detour for her. So it's really interesting to see this like very timid. Obviously, there's some Alzheimer's dementia situation happening.
This is way before the Alzheimer's sort of alert on that.
She probably at this point would have been just characterized with dementia.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
If that. Senility was a big thing that we just kind of wrote old people off after a while.
That's true.
It's just what old people do. Well, no, apparently not all old people.
Yeah, it was interesting to see her kind of in this role and to see her smiling so much. I was like, what's happening?
Did you not trust it, by the way? You're like,
yeah, I didn't. I was
here.
like, she's got a gun in that bag.
You know, under that flowery dress, she's got
really.
those dang arms that she built in Terminator 2. I had heard that she was going to be in this season, and I'd kind of forgotten about it. But when I heard it, I never would have pictured her for this part. Maybe this is like a ruse, and really she's like Superwoman under there or something. Like this is just to fool everybody.
Well, see, that's why I asked, do you trust this?
She's working with that other lady who's like shooting at everybody.
Oh, yeah, Irene Vaughan is apparently her name.
I'm going to think that she's going to come into play later. Like maybe she sees something and can't remember. Since she didn't recognize Joe, she might finger somebody else as the person who did something.
You're probably right, Sharon.
I don't know that we're going to see much of them. This is why I brought up the scene is I really think this is more of a contrast. The thing that Joe leaves Gordo with is some advice that I don't think is really meant for Gordo.
It feels like it's just him thinking out loud, right? Like about like regrets and...
Well, it's a state of mind, right? And he even expresses the same kind of feelings to Chi later on in the episode that for the life of me, I can't figure it. Of course, he can't tell Chi why she actually left, which is another indicator that he hasn't told Bernadette or Chi what he did. Yeah. So yeah, he tells Gordo about his jalopy with that slow leak, lives with it for as long as he needed it. And then when he didn't need it, he kind of just let it go and they gave up on him. And he's like, well, he's telling the audience, I'm not ready to give up on Emma.
Yeah.
Even though if it's been a year, I don't know. Well, he grows the garden too, remember?
Somebody says like, she may not want you to come find her.
I think it's Bernadette. Yeah, what are you going to go to LA? She kind of got a little stank on the why are you leaving me kind of thing.
Yeah, that's fair. It's been a long time. I felt like he had said it to Chi because he had said, I'm not the man that I was, or I don't want to be. I want to leave that man behind. Or
but you're mixing both of them up actually, which is kind of cool.
Well, okay.
He says that she didn't like the man that I had become, and I don't want to be around him either. That sort of She didn't want to be around the man, and I don't want to be around him either. And yet he couldn't tell the truth to either of them, not the real truth. No. And I wouldn't blame him for not. There's like, he's sort of like a father figure to both of these kids.
Well, it can become incriminating later. So it's like, it's just best that they don't know.
Right. Plausible deniability, that whole thing.
Yes. Yeah.
All of a sudden, Jenna Elfman rolls into town again on her white horse, literally.
Driving one of Tim Allen's cars.
Sorry, I don't know why we're mixing. I know it's from that other show, but we can't not miss an opportunity.
I did love that Gordo said, you've been doing some deep thinking since I saw you last, because it was such a poignant point to make. Don't give up on her. This is like the time that she needs you to really not give up on her.
And well, he was given the same advice last year too about Emma and not giving up on the relationship, etc. Not even telling her really. You got to do what you got to do to survive out here. Well, he says, you've been doing some deep thinking since I last saw you. But the response was, in response to the car metaphor, nothing holds air forever, is what I've been thinking.
Yeah.
He's thinking about his mortality. Nothing lasts.
Not even that. Yes, obviously mortality, but also,
how do you want to spend your days?
And my marriage kind of fell apart. So like that didn't really last. Yes, your mental capacity maybe doesn't last. Your life doesn't last. My marriage didn't last. There's finality to so many things in this world.
There's also a bit of dunderheadedness too. Because if you really think about it, and if he is in fact talking to the audience and not Gordo Senna, whether Gordo's still in the show or not is irrelevant for now until we see more. But if he is talking to the audience, he's basically saying his wife's an old car.
Yeah.
And also Gordo's wife's an old car, which we know in real life she is not. Because the answer to that question is just change the wheel. I know it costs a bunch of money, but that should be your goal. Even his mom says, Joyce Leaphorn, she says the same thing. When you go to the sweat, when you go for the hunt, when you do all the things, that's supposed to be for you. That's so you figure yourself out. It's like that whole metaphor of swallowing poison and hoping the other person dies. You can't do the work so that they make the change. Mm-hmm. You've got to be the one, not to change, but you have to play the cards you're dealt.
Well, I like that perspective because for Joe, last season's all about him struggling with spirituality. He sees an animal outside and then Emma has to tell him what it means. It was a coyote. It's struggling with the interpretation and really like kind of connecting, which makes sense because he was disconnected because of like everything that was happening in the season. So it's interesting that his mom is telling him like, hey, it's great that you're connecting, but like you have to do it for you. You're not doing it for Emma.
Right.
You doing this for Emma is stupid and totally pointless because she's not the one going through it. You are. It's meant to change you.
Well, and that's not to say that he's not reaping the fruits of that labor.
He is.
But he's expecting a particular result and he's not getting it.
And I don't know that we're going to see a happy ending right away because I don't know that is what this will yield. You can't make the assumption I'm going to do the work and she's going to take me back. You asked a lot out of her and you put a lot on her after years of being kind of disconnected because of what happened, which is that your boy died.
Yeah. And he mentions that too.
You spent years being like disconnected, struggling with your spirituality, questioning things because your son is gone and your wife was carrying it on her own because he didn't want to get rid of the stuff and clean the house, getting all of that bad energy out of there.
Do you remember one of the first few episodes of the first season? What did today people do when they bury people? They bury their belongings with them too.
Yeah.
So isn't that interesting?
Yeah. So like the fact that he was holding on to all this stuff is like she was forced to carry a burden she didn't want to carry because he couldn't let go. And
then added more to it.
And then you just keep adding more on and ultimately saying, well, now I killed this guy and also I need you to lie for me.
Yeah. When he said what he said to Chi, even though we know why he says what he says to Chi about, well, I can't for the life of me figure out why she doesn't come around yet.
He knows.
We know that he has to say that, but we also don't like it. Yeah. Because we all know he should know why she's not coming back, even though it sucks.
And I root for him. Yeah. What a nice sentiment that you want to go after your wife. That's
also beautiful, that she's an old jalopy.
It's beautiful that you want to be with her.
And that he's manifesting it.
And that you're willing to change to bring that about. However, she didn't ask you to change. She asked you to leave her alone. So I don't know how I feel about it.
Well, we don't know how far he's gone to contact her at all. And I hope we do find out.
Yeah, they could have had conversations in between. We don't know.
No idea.
I would assume it's been no contact. He knows somehow that she's in LA.
Right. That's what I want to know.
But maybe just from her family.
Right. Or her sister or something. Or maybe Albert. I'm kidding. I have no idea. But there was one thing I wanted to hone in on, and that was really the deep part of it, which is I think we grow up thinking that if we will it hard enough, that kind of Disney kind of notion of like, if you wish upon a star, we attribute it as the American dream. But the idea that you put in the work, you think you're going to get it. Mm-hmm. I think the reality is, just from my own experience, is that sometimes you can pray, you can work, you can do all the things, and you still won't get it. You still won't get what you're going to get.
God laughs.
And it's not for lack of trying.
Makes plans.
Sort of, but sometimes it's just not meant to be. You can work as hard as you can, and there's sort of not a fallacy of sunk cost, or maybe it is that you can only work so hard before you realize, okay, this is not for you, or maybe it's not meant for you, and maybe it's not your time. Whatever the reason is, it's not for you to know. You just have to play the cards you're dealt. You could decide to live in slavery or in bondage of this thing, this quest. But what was once a quest is now a jail sentence. You're committing yourself to a life of, well, sort of torture. You're the jailer. You have to decide when to set yourself free. And so I wonder if that's something that's going to be honed in on this season. I mean, Deanna Allison, who plays Emma Leaphorn, is slated to be in this season. She's the one been posting most about this. She's really loves the series. She's really excited to show her damn face on the show. And I'm really excited to see her face too. I feel like
if they're going to end up having to trace these kids to LA, and that's going to give him an excuse to go before he retires. This has given him a head start on chasing Emma down.
Oh, we should mention again, before we even talk any further, that season 5, yes, was greenlit way before season 4. Season 4 still hasn't aired, and we know about it. And we're talking about this a couple days before this season 4 premiere.
Classic AMC. They're back at it with their old antics.
At least they didn't spoil us yet.
Well, here's some more. Sometimes we give you news. I have seen rumors about Fallout ending its run finally in season 6, and we've only finished season 2. So apparently they've got a big plan going. I'm for it.
I love the scene where Chi and Leaphorn were in the car, and she's like,
I'm telling you, Joe, no matter who you are, where you stand, well, those are words to live by. That's what I do.
And it made me think of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms when Dunk was like, people used to say I was stupid. And Egg's like, and?
I enjoyed it because it was such a pompous, you know what they say.
Because he was pulling his sunglasses out, first of all.
No one does know what you're saying or why you're saying it.
But I love how Leaphorn kind of gets it. He's just laughing like, yep, this is the stuff I love about you, dude.
There's two kinds of people, those who can extrapolate from incomplete information.
There you go.
There it is. Or we're dumb, and maybe this is one of those things that Leaphorn says that she never finishes, right? See, maybe we should have looked back prior seasons to see that this is a Leaphornism.
Look, I can't rewatch every season every time we cover the show. I can't rewatch. I can't do it. There's not enough time.
All right, Bridget, you're tasked with doing it. So there you go.
Read
now you have to
every
find
book.
that specific
Read every
line.
book and watch every season before we cover each new season.
Yeah, again and again.
Of every show.
Yeah, not just this show. You have to see all the movies and shows that Kiowa Gordon was in to understand the context of this line.
Yeah.
No, I hate myself for even suggesting it. We task you like a pack mule with remembering all this stuff.
What's the girl's name again?
Billy.
I'm sorry. What's her cousin's name?
Albert Gorman.
Albert. Okay, thank you.
Which, by the way, Gorman actually has a etymology too. Okay, I guess it has Irish origins. Derived from the Gaelic O Gorman, meaning descendant of Gorman. The name is linked to the Gaelic word gorm, which translates to dark blue or noble.
I love when they do that. Son of.
Yeah.
Son
Gorman.
of Gorman.
It's just that the name may have originally denoted someone with a noble or regal bearings or someone associated with color blue, which was historically linked to royalty in Ireland. The surname has evolved through various spellings and variations reflecting its historical and cultural heritage. But then there's the word gormless, which is lacking sense or initiative, foolish. Gormless. Just thought that was a funny I could bring up. That's what I was thinking. So Bernadette mentions a chattin' shoe. I know we've brought this up before, but this is kind of interesting.
Oh, the chattin' shoe.
Yeah. So she was mentioning this to Jane to kind of get her to open up a bit. When you feel very disconnected from basically A, your people, and B, not really trusting authority, because that was really the whole thing, is that why on earth would you trust even your parents or whomever put you in there again after going through all of this? Even Joe had his problems with Henry for being stuck in the Catholic schools. And so her trying to link her to her heritage and what she loved and kind of like that remembrance of home, the chattin' shoe, was kind of her way of getting her to open up. Like, what are you excited for? And it's also kind of, as much as we say, hey, we hope we're not being insensitive and blah, 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 and all, A, we're trying not to step on eggshells when we bring up some of these things. But B, why we dare to bring them up is that these shows aren't stupid. What they're trying to do is bring you into their world rather than make you feel like you don't belong there. So food does link everybody in a sense, like food, feasting, the idea of being around a table and eating is a way for us to kind of connect on a level that historically over time was a thing. So
listen to Anthony Bourdain over here.
Not nearly as eloquent.
That was his whole thing.
Or Andrew Zimmern.
Well, Anthony Bourdain's thing was that community is formed over food.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Not in a modern thing. Yes, time immemorial. There was a restaurant in New York City called Chat and Shoe that was decades old that they brought back in 2018 that, of course, New York City as it is, you can't open a restaurant for very long, closed shortly before or during COVID. So interesting. Chat and Shoes are a small group, intimate information sharing sessions often used in community, social, and in some contexts, cultural settings. While not traditional term for indigenous origin, this concept aligns with native cultural values of sharing, connection, and community building, often centered around, in this case, traditional foods, storytelling, and oral traditions. Key aspects of native culture that align with this Chat and Chew format include food as culture. Indigenous cuisines such as corn, beans, and squash constitutes a vital part of cultural identity and is often shared to support physical and mental spiritual health. Knowledge sharing. Oral traditions and storytelling are central to passing down history and knowledge within communities. Community values. Native American cultures are defined by strong communal ties, respect for elders, and sharing. Food sovereignty. Traditional foods are used to sustain communities and reinforce cultural practices. That one's from the National Museum of American Indian. These sessions provide a venue for, in this case, community engagement, similar to how traditional, in this case, gatherings allow for, in this case, intergenerational knowledge exchange. Well, and what if not Bernadette from her generation is trying to exchange information with a younger generation? Because I was just looking at Bern being like, I'm hip. Like to this young
I'm
kid.
hip. I dated Elvis.
She did.
I know. I'll never forget that fact.
Hey,
It's
fellow
the weirdest
kids.
addition to. Yeah, exactly.
And then we saw the Kings, but in ghoul format in Fallout. So how about that? I don't know. We saw
What?
Billy.
Okay.
I don't know. Anyway,
What? Stop. Don't do that.
stop mixing the. We don't like
Stop
it when we
it.
mix the.
Why are you
the
mixing
conversations
them?
we have. Well, in case you wanted to know, we talk about Fallout as well. You know, this is me backdoor promoting our other conversations. Bridget, don't you understand? It's called synergy, Bridget. Synergy. Okay, we should mention that the woman who we don't yet know her name is, but we do actually know her name, is Irene Vaughan.
That's fitting because I'm going to say this, but maybe cut it out. She seemed German somehow. Like something.
Well, you want to hear about like stereotyping, by the way?
Last season's enemy was a pasty white guy, so this season they made it a pasty white woman.
Diversity.
It's equal opportunity villainy. Didn't I say that on the series at one point? Equal opportunity villainy? I mean, the more you think about it, the more it is actually really funny how stereotypically German she is. Okay, let's go through it.
Is she actually German? Because this is like...
She is. Franca Potente is German. She was the main character for Run Lola Run.
Okay.
That's her.
Okay.
That's her.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and also the Born Supremacy. Whoa, supremacy. Why isn't that a word in the Born trilogy? Anyway, she's obviously German.
I love that it's like she's on screen for 2 seconds and I'm like, German? I don't know how. It's in the lineage.
She points at the screen and she goes, German, German, Hitler mustache, German. Well, I say this only because
it is in my lineage, so it's like I can smell out my own, I guess. I don't know.
Moving on. Well, you know, it's not a bad thing. I'm just saying, but here it gets worse because, first of all, she's driving a Volkswagen, which is, you know, it's Hitler's chariot. Oh. There's that. But then it has a bookcase in it that moves to reveal an arsenal, basically, of a wide array of weaponry.
Why
a rifle or two
bookcase
in the Volkswagen.
Why is it
van.
A bookcase?
Yeah, there's a bunch of knives and
a girl can't have a hobby.
See, I have no problem with that, but it's just kind of weird, isn't it?
She's a well-read assassin.
I wasn't talking about the books, just the fact that the weapons are behind the books. That there's room enough for her to have a bookcase to hide things behind, first of all.
It's wild to me.
It is wild to me, yeah. It's unreal. It's like the one-woman A-team, which I'm pro, but then there's the other dark side of it, which is the pistol that she uses is a Luger that uses full metal jackets. I don't know much about firearms, but I do know this.
It's a good movie.
Agreed. I didn't know what full metal jackets were, and then so I looked them up. A type of small arms projectile featuring soft lead core completely encased in a harder metal shell, typically copper, brass, or steel, primarily used for target practice and by military forces. These bullets are designed for high penetration and reliability in feeding rather than expansion, preventing significant barrel fouling. So the goal here wasn't really to do maximum carnage. The goal was to basically make it so that your rifle didn't jam up. Typical of someone who is an assassin. You want to get the job done. You might take a couple of bullets to do it, but at least your gun won't jam up. Which Lee Porn sort of show don't tell notes to Bernadette when he sees the bullet holes in the window. Which is why when you see the bullet holes through the window, you're like, well, why didn't the window just shatter? Which you'd think would normally, or like at least spider web. Yeah. But the bullet kind of just passed through the window without really cracking it much. Typical of a non-expanding bullet, basically. A Full Metal Jacket. It's a signature of the assassin. She does kill the witnesses, which kind of reinforces that idea. Over trying to get her target, right? Because she knows she can hunt down her target eventually. She did hit Albert, I guess, in the process. So there's that. So he can't go very far. But she does end up killing our friend Gladine from the last season. She was the funny waitress who was talking to
who can't hear the phone.
Well, yes, in this episode, right. But in last season, she was joking around with, who was it? We loved the hell out of her. She was
it Joe?
I think she was joking around with Joe.
I vaguely remember this.
He comes into the restaurant. She also she was talking about the guy who was in there. Tragic,
the blonde.
The tragic looking guy who we made fun of last season. The guy who was running the farm op.
Oh, that guy.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. I have a hard time keeping the storyline straight.
No kidding. Yeah. It's sad that we lost her. That's all. The Red House diner.
It is sad. Okay, and is part of you worried that the guy from the trading post is dead? Because I am.
She left.
Yeah, she didn't have to reveal herself.
She didn't do anything illegal for him to report or anything. She looked like a person
who... Did we see her leave?
Yeah, she walked out the door.
I thought we just saw her look out the window to see Joe leave.
Well, she would have no reason to kill Roger.
Well, he was like, here's a rug over here, here's this. And as he was saying that, she walked out the door.
That's the other thing I wanted to bring up about, see how stereotypical German she is. Luger with the Full Metal Jackets, the Volkswagen, Franco Potente.
Not you saying Volkswagen like that.
Well, I need to say it like that because when she looks at the rug, she sees all the swastikas on it. And she's like, very interesting. No, she didn't say that, actually. She didn't talk at all this episode. Very interesting, she says.
What is happening?
Oh, she had that look, though. She's like, huh, what? And he's like, it's on sale, half off. I'm like, okay, it's fine. I don't know what to make of that. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back after these messages. We just thought we'd remind you to show this episode some love by tapping that like button, if there's one to be tapped, subscribing to our podcast or channel, and if available, enabling all notifications, and sharing the show, or clips of it, with everyone you know. And don't be afraid to reach out. Leave your questions, feedback, ideas, or even concerns in the comments section. There isn't one? Head on over to ratethispodcast.com/squawkingdead and leave your thoughts there. Rating our podcast is the best way to get our attention because it also boosts our visibility. And we'll probably address it in the next episode too. And if you think there's something to what we're doing here at Squawking Dead, tip us over on Ko-fi. As a token of our appreciation, you'll receive forever access to our Discord, along with 30 days access to our uncut episode and interview recordings, plus our pre-squawk insights. Take your support further. Join a membership tier on either ko-fi.com/squawkingdead or patreon.com/squawkingdead, and you'll unlock access to more channels on our Discord server, receive shoutouts at the end of every episode, and depending on what tier you join, the ability to join us on camera and mic to break down future episodes alongside us. Thank you for hearing us out and making it this far into the episode. We now return you to our regularly scheduled podcast. Do you remember how in most of the prior seasons, the first episode showed what would happen at the end of the season? Basically, this one, at least we caught up in the same episode. We're shown what happens. We don't have the context for it until we reach the end of the episode at the very least.
I thought that was interesting, kind of like a bait and switch. Maybe you were meant to still think that would be the end of the season, then all of a sudden it happened.
So that was interesting. But also, I have to admit that, of course, it wasn't until the last scene that I realized, oh. And I don't know how I feel about that. How I wasn't 100% sure where in time we were. Because there was no visual cue to indicate, did we backtrack now? Am I going to see this scene later? Or do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't get it at first until we reached the end of the episode. So I'm a little disoriented. And I don't know if that was intentional.
I mean, it said 15 hours earlier.
When did it say that?
Yeah.
After the first scene, it went 15 hours earlier. Yeah.
I feel like Rachel now. Like, oh, I missed that part. I feel kinship with her. It's just so that for the audience to understand why she's not here. She's like, nah, not for me. This show. It's fair. Not everything's for everybody. That's fine.
I dropped out of From. Just wasn't for me.
I think most of Fallout too. Or did you make one
No,
Fallout
the
episode?
problem with Fallout was I didn't have any flipping internet through half of it because of the,
That's
the
true.
storm.
That's true.
And then the last one, I literally picked up my phone and looked at Discord, and you guys were recording, and I was like, I didn't even realize it was Thursday. So
Sort of like me today. Chi is modernizing the tribal police, basically rearranging the schedules, requesting time off ahead of time. I think that's interesting and relevant to the time.
Well, it's interesting to see him kind of pick up slack, and it's a new color on him to see him so proactively doing the things that people typically don't want to do.
Bringing some of the FBI to the police too, in a sense, I guess.
Modernization doesn't need to be a bad thing.
Right. We can take the good and take the bad, like facts of life.
take them both, and there you have.
Exactly.
The facts of life. The facts of life.
I don't think there's anything else. This is mostly like a vibes episode.
I just thought it was a really good framework for a season.
Catching up without not catching us up, which I love. Sort of like implying that this is what happened over time.
Because we had just told Rob, because he was like, I should watch all the seasons. And we're like, you don't have to. You could probably just step in because we've felt that way about the other seasons. And I would say you could step into this not having seen the previous seasons and still like feel okay.
Well, I mean, because they explained my wife is gone and I don't know why. And
yeah.
And this thing happened. They even hint with Bernadette. Everything was so bad. And then you see her burning the border patrol thing. So if you're a reasonably intelligent viewer, you can piece that together.
Yeah. Well, that's a mark of a good show. If you can walk in midstream and piece what happened together, it's still good storytelling. I mean, it would be better if you did. Like, I really still want to know what happened to that other guy, the other rich guy from the ranch. I forget what his name was now.
Oh, I have so many questions about characters that we've not seen again.
It was in Morocco or something at that point. Anyway,
Who knows?
things we'll never know. Things will probably never happen. And, well, let's just say this then. I am very happy you join us for our return to Dark Winds Season 4 premiere. I'm sure we'll have a lot more to say with each passing episode as well. And we'll have hopefully more time to really dig into these episodes, bringing in reference from the time, and which I love doing, and more references from Native culture, particularly Navajo. It's what we love around here. If you like what we love talking about, well, just let us know in the comments and give us a little like, toss a coin to your bitchers, all those things.
Oh,
I've been your host, David Cameo, and I was joined by
Me, Blazy Gardner.
this is me.
Channeling
today.
Rachel that time.
And Bridget. You can find me at ko-fi.com/punkybrewster. That's PUNKYBRUISETER.
That's right, folks. And we'll see you when we see you. Next up is A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Exactly.
I'm so excited.
Which is technically false. Is it? No. Full disclosure, we do have screeners. I think we mentioned this at the tail end of the last episode we recorded, kind of like the post-recording wrap-up where we acknowledge our supporters. So we're going to be recording this in some senses out of sequence and just preparing them for launch. There's going to be things that are probably going to be revealed throughout your watch of Dark Winds that I would hope you would let us know in the comments to give more color to these episodes. If we do find out more about these episodes as they get released, I might be including them in the wrap-up to those episodes. So there's a little bit more color to our breakdowns because we're recording these way in advance, hopefully, so that we're ahead of our release schedule to give you more meat on the bone when it comes to these breakdowns and also make them available to you a lot faster. So take care, everybody. See you real soon. I hope you enjoyed that. And I am looking very much forward to the next episode. Sharondy's going to probably watch it right when we're done.
Oh, the pit first. Then
Yeah,
Dark
I'm a little
Winds.
late on that one.
Yeah. The pit comes out tonight at 9, so I
think I'm too behind then.
It's happening right now.
Well, then there you go. See you,
Okay.
everybody. We got stuff to do. Why
Yeah,
are
I
you
gotta
keeping
go to
us
bed.
here?
Good night.
You should blame the audience. Anyway, bye, everybody. We'll see
Bye,
you soon.
everybody.
Thank you for making it to the end of yet another episode of Squawking Dead. This one, Dark Winds Season 4 premiere, titled, I'm not going to say it again, but in English, it is Baptism of Fire. I do wish I had a lot more time to wrap up this conversation. I am gearing up for vacation imminently, and I have to get this episode out. I'm kind of amazed that I was able to get this and A Night of the Seven Kingdoms episode out within 24 hours, basically. So I'm going to push this out. Going to work on recording A Night of the Seven Kingdoms 5th episode, first watch reaction and post-watch breakdown tonight. And the ladies will be recording the 2nd episode of Dark Winds while I'm away, so that I'm ready to edit it the day I come back on Sunday. So I guess that means you've reached the point of the podcast where we acknowledge our supporters for making this show happen. It's a little perk that they receive out loud because they joined either the Survivors or Whispers tier, skipping the Survivors tier because we don't have any members there. And moving on to the Whispers, we have Jason, who you can reach on Instagram via @Neos1. That's @NEOS, the number 1, HEONE. Rob Lucchese, who you can find on Instagram via @RobsStuff _Nez and Nancy _Thangs, THANGS. And of course, Kim Rowley, who you can reach on Facebook via @Kim.Rowley, the number 1. Extremely psyched to watch the next episode when I get back. Even more psyched to watch A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which I am doing my best to avoid spoilers at any cost so it doesn't interfere with my first watch reaction. I did hear some news about a possible actor showing up on the series, unfortunately, as a result of me trying to squeeze in some video clips from the last episode. So that could be interesting. All things being equal, I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope you join us in the audience in the real-time chat as we record another episode of Squawking Dead. Obviously not Dark Winds because we have screeners there. And whoever you are, wherever you go, whatever you're doing, just remember that we, you, me, everybody, are Squawking Dead.